Before the world was wired, messages rode on horseback. Before screens glowed in the dark, candles flickered over handwritten letters. Before billions connected in a single second, silence ruled distance. Then in 1969, two letters crossed a wire. In California, LO, the system crashed, but humanity had already whispered its future. Before the WRs, when messages rode the wind, there was a time when the word online meant nothing. No glowing screens, no instant messages, no search engines, no video calls, no digital footprints. If a king in one land wanted to send a message to another kingdom, the message did not travel at the speed of light. It traveled at the speed of a horse. And sometimes the horse did not survive the journey. Long before electricity, long before satellites floated above the earth, humans relied on the most powerful network they possessed themselves. In ancient Egypt, messages were carved into stone or written on papyrus scrolls. Couriers walked across deserts carrying sealed letters. In the Roman Empire, one of the earliest organized communication systems emerged, the cursus publicus, a relay network of mounted messengers. Messages could travel across the empire in days instead of weeks. In China, during the Han Dynasty, sophisticated courier system used relay stations placed every few miles. Riders would change horses at each station, allowing communication to move efficiently across vast distances. Information was power, and whoever controlled the speed of information controlled history that even the fastest horse could not outrun. Time itself, smoke, fire, and code. Human beings are inventive. When distance became an obstacle, they used creativity. Indigenous tribes in North America used smoke signals. In Africa, talking drums communicated across miles of jungle. In Greece, fire beacons were lit across hilltops to signal military victories or invasions. Each signal was limited. Each message was simple, but it was a beginning. The idea was revolutionary. You could transmit information without physically carrying it. That idea would later give birth to the Internet. The electric revolution, the real turning point, came in the 19th century. Electricity. In 1837, two men working independently, Samuel Morse in the United States and Charles Wheatstone in Britain, developed telegraph systems. Morse created Morse code, dots and dashes, short signals and long signals, electric pulses moving through copper wires. For the first time in human history, information could travel faster than transportation. In 1844, Samuel Morse sent the first official telegraph message from Washington, D.C. to Baltimore. What hath God wrought? That moment changed the world forever. Suddenly, news traveled in minutes instead of weeks. Stock prices, war updates, political decisions, family messages. The world began shrinking. By the late 1800s, telegraph cables crossed oceans. The first transatlantic cable connected North America and Europe. The Earth was slowly becoming connected, but still no internet, not yet. The telephone and the human voice. In 1876, Alexander Graham Bell patented the telephone. For the first time, human voices traveled through wires. Distance lost its dominance. Businesses expanded. Families stayed connected. Governments coordinated. Communication was no longer only written signals. It was emotional, immediate, human. The 20th century brought radio, then television. Information became broadcast. One voice, millions of listeners, but communication was still one-directional. The internet would change that. The idea of a needed internet was not born in peace, it was born in fear. The year was 1957. The Cold War was intensifying between the United States and the Soviet Union. Then came a shock. The Soviet Union launched Sputnik, the first artificial satellite, into space. America panicked. If the Soviets could send satellites into orbit, could they also send nuclear missiles across continents? The United States responded by creating a new agency in 1958, ARPA, Advanced Research Projects Agency. Its mission: prevent technological surprise. One of the biggest fears during the Cold War was communication failure. If nuclear war destroyed central communication hubs, how would the military coordinate? The solution required a radical idea: a decentralized communication network, a network with no single center, a network that could survive partial destruction. That idea would evolve into the Internet. The visionaries in the early 1960s, a psychologist and computer scientist named J.C.R. Licklider, imagined something extraordinary. He called it the intergalactic computer network. He believed computers should not just calculate numbers, they should connect people. At that time, computers were massive machines occupying entire rooms. They were not personal. They were isolated. Licklider imagined something different, a network where computers could talk to each other. He joined ARPA and began pushing the idea. Then came another breakthrough concept: packet switching, developed independently by Paul Baran, USA, and Donald Davies, UK. Packet switching proposed breaking messages into small pieces, packets sending them separately, and reassembling them at the destination. Unlike traditional telephone circuits, packet switching allowed multiple communications to share the same network. It was efficient, it was resilient, it was revolutionary. 1969, the first Internet connection. The year, 1969. Country, United States. Location, UCLA, University of California, Los Angeles. ARPA had funded the creation of ARPANET. 4 initial nodes were installed. UCLA Stanford Research, INSTITUTEUC, Santa Barbara University of Utah. On October 29, 1969, a student programmer named Charlie Klein attempted to send the first message over ARPANET from UCLA to Stanford. He typed "Elven Oath System" crashed before he could finish typing login. The first message ever sent over what would become the Internet was "Lo." It was accidental poetry, as if the system itself was saying, "Lo and behold." Within months, the system stabilized. Computers were talking to each other. The Internet had taken its first breath. From military project to global revolution. On the birth of TCP/IP throughout the 1970s, more universities and research institutions joined ARPANET. But there was a problem. Different networks used different communication protocols. They could not easily communicate with each other. To engineers, Vinton Cerf and Robert Kahn developed a solution. In 1974, they proposed a new protocol, TCP/IP, Transmission Control Protocol/Internet Protocol. TCP/IP allowed different networks to connect into a single global network of networks. On January 1, 1983, ARPANET officially adopted TCP/IP. That date is widely considered the true birth of the modern Internet. From that moment, networks could connect globally. The Internet was no longer a military experiment. It was becoming infrastructure of the world. Wide Web. The Internet existed in the 1980s, but it was complicated, text-based, limited to researchers. Then, in 1989, at CERN in Switzerland, a British scientist named Tim Berners-Lee proposed a new system. He wanted scientists to easily share documents. He created HTML, Hypertext Markup Language, HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol, the first web browser, first web server. He called it the World Wide Web. Important distinction: the Internet is the infrastructure. The web is a system that runs on it. In 1991, the web was released to the public. In 1993, the Mosaic browser made the web user-friendly. Then everything changed. At the explosion, the 1990s became the decade of digital birth. Email became common, websites appeared, Yahoo, Amazon, Google, founded in 1998. In 1995, the Internet was commercialized in the United States. Dial-up modems screamed through phone lines. You've got mail. The world was logging in. By the early 2000s, social media emerged. Facebook 2004, YouTube 2005, Twitter 2006. Smartphones later placed the Internet in pockets. No longer tied to desks, no longer limited by wires, always connected. The Internet, PODAY. Today, the Internet is used in nearly every field. 1. Communication, email, video, calls, messaging apps, social media. 2. Education, online classes, digital libraries, learning platforms, virtual universities. 3. Business and economy, banking. 5. Entertainment, streaming services, online, gaming, virtual reality. 6. Government and politics, digital voting, systems governance, warfare. 7. Artificial intelligence, learning, automation. Now use the Internet worldwide. What began as 4 computers in California is now a planetary nervous system. Part V. 10 years into the future. 2036, if current trends continue. The Internet in 10 years may reach levels once considered science fiction. 1. Hyperspeed. Connectivity 6G networks may enable near-instant global communication. 2. Internet of everything, not just phones and laptops, but cars, implants, all connected. 3. AI integrated web. The Internet will not just store information, it will understand it, predict behavior, personalize reality. 4. Immersive digital worlds. Virtual reality may become as common as smartphones. Work meetings inside digital environments, digital cities, digital economies. 5. Brain-computer interface are already researching neural connections to devices. The boundary between human thought and internet search may blur. 6. Greater cybersecurity battles. As connectivity increases, cyber threats will grow. Nations may fight wars not with bombs but with code. Closing reflection from smoke signals to satellites. From horses to fiber optics. From load to live stream. The Internet is not just technology, it is the story of humanity's deepest desire. Connect. To share. To understand. And perhaps to be remembered. This is only the beginning of your full-length 100. Silicon Valley and the digital gold. RUSH, the Valley of Dreams. Long before it became the headquarters of global technology, Silicon Valley was farmland. Apricot orchards stretched across Northern California. Quiet neighborhoods surrounded Stanford University. But in the mid-20th century, something unusual began happening. Stanford encouraged students not just to study engineering, but to build companies. Hewlett-Packard was born in a small garage in 1939. The garage would later become a symbol of technological mythology, innovation beginning in modest spaces. By the 1970s and 1980s, semiconductor companies multiplied. Silicon chips replaced bulky vacuum tubes. Computers shrank. Then came the personal computer revolution. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak introduced Apple. Bill Gates and Paul Allen built Microsoft. Computers were no longer tools for governments and universities. They entered homes. When the Internet became publicly accessible in the 1990s, Silicon Valley was ready. Investors saw opportunity. Venture capital flooded into startups. Every idea seemed valuable if it ended with double quotes. Young founders in their 20s became millionaires overnight. The world called it the dot-com boom. The bubble beat in 1995 and 2000. Internet-based companies multiplied at extraordinary speed. Online bookstores, online pet food, online groceries, online news, online auctions. Investors believed the Internet would replace every traditional industry immediately. Stock prices soared, but many companies had no real business model. They had websites, but no profits. In March 2000, reality struck. The stock market crashed. Billions of dollars disappeared. Thousands of companies failed. This became known as the dot-com crash. It was painful, but it cleared the field. Only the strongest survived. Amazon, eBay, Google. The Internet was no longer a fantasy. It became sustainable. The social media age, human network. In 2004, a Harvard student named Mark Zuckerberg launched a website called the Facebook. It allowed students to connect, share profiles, and communicate. It spread from campus to campus, then worldwide. Facebook transformed the Internet from information-based to identity-based. You were no longer anonymous. You had a profile, a timeline, a digital history. Soon after, YouTube allowed anyone to broadcast. Twitter compressed thought into short messages. Instagram made photography universal. WhatsApp turned messaging into global habit. For the first time in human history, billions of individuals could speak publicly. Communication shifted from top-down TV, radio to horizontal peer-to-peer. The Internet became social, but it also became emotional. Validation was measured in likes, influence measured in followers. A new economy emerged. The attention economy, the smartphone revolution. In 2007, Apple released the iPhone. The Internet left the desk. It entered the hand. Smartphones combined. Phone, camera, computer, GPS, music player, Internet browser all in one device. Suddenly, the Internet was constant. Waking up, check notifications. Commuting, scroll social media. Sleeping, phone beside the pillow. Connectivity became permanent. In developing countries, Smartphones allowed millions to access the internet without ever owning a desktop computer. This was especially transformative across Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. The internet beyond the WEC Asia Connection Belt, one of the largest digital ecosystems in history instead of Google, Facebook, and Twitter. China developed Baidu, WeChat, Alibaba, Tencent, Teats. Internet became a parallel universe, regulated and domestically controlled. India experienced a massive digital surge after affordable mobile data became available. Hundreds of millions came online within a few years. Southeast Asia saw e-commerce transform. Rural economies. Digital payments replaced cash. The internet became economic infrastructure. The Middle East and digital transformation. The Middle East embraced internet growth in waves. Oil-rich Gulf nations invested heavily in smart cities. Dubai launched e-government services. Saudi Arabia invested in digital transformation under Vision 2030. Qatar expanded fiber optic networks. Social media played a powerful role during the Arab Spring 2010-2012. Citizens used platforms to organize protests and share information. Beyond traditional state media, the internet proved it could influence political change. At the same time, governments recognized its power and increased digital monitoring. Connectivity brought both empowerment and control. Chapter 17. Bangladesh's digital journey. Bangladesh connected to the internet in the 1990s, initially limited and slow. Internet access was expensive and rare. But change accelerated after 2008. Mobile internet expanded. 3G, then 4G services spread nationwide. Freelancing platforms allowed young Bangladeshis to work globally. Digital Bangladesh initiatives modernized government services, online education, mobile banking like Bikash today. Millions in Bangladesh use smartphones as their primary connection to the digital world. The internet has reshaped communication, commerce, and even rural livelihoods. A farmer can check crop prices online. A student in a village can attend global lectures. A freelancer can earn from international clients. Geography is no longer destiny. The dark side of Sionani CI for Chapter 18. Data, the new oil. As internet use expanded, companies discovered something valuable. Data, every click, every search, every location, every message. Collected, analyzed, sold. Targeted advertising became highly precise. Algorithms learned user behavior. The internet no longer simply responded to users, it predicted them. Privacy became a global concern. Scandals involving misuse of personal data shook public trust. Governments introduced regulations like GDPR in Europe, but the tension remained: convenience versus privacy. Chapter 19. Cyber warfare. The battlefield moved into cyberspace. Nations developed cyber weapons. Power grids hacked, elections targeted, financial systems attacked. Cybersecurity became as important as military defense. Unlike traditional wars, cyber conflicts are invisible. No smoke, no tanks, just lines of code. The internet had evolved into a strategic domain alongside land, sea, air, and space. The present, Emomanti, the internet today powers global finance, artificial intelligence, supply chains, transportation, healthcare systems, education systems. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the internet became humanity's lifeline. Work moved online, schools moved online, social life moved online. Without the internet, global lockdowns would have collapsed economies entirely. To prove something fundamental: the internet is no longer optional infrastructure, it is essential. 10 years from now, 2036. Now imagine 2036. A young child wakes up in a fully connected home. The walls adjust, lighting automatically. The refrigerator orders groceries. The car communicates with traffic systems. Medical sensors monitor health continuously. Artificial intelligence assistants will not just answer questions, they will anticipate needs. Virtual reality classrooms may replace physical ones for many subjects. Doctors may perform remote robotic surgeries across continents. Digital currencies could become standard. Smart cities may regulate traffic, pollution, and energy usage through interconnected systems. But risks will also increase. Deepfake, misinformation, AI-generated propaganda, cybercrime sophistication, psychological dependency. Society will face ethical questions. How much control should algorithms have? Who owns digital identity? Can privacy survive total connectivity? Reflection from smoke signals to satellites, from handwritten letters to quantum networks. The Internet represents humanity's most ambitious attempt to eliminate distance. Yet, the paradox remains: the more connected we become, the more we must redefine what it means to be human. This long-form narrative will continue further with the psychology of digital life, the economics of remote work, the rise of artificial intelligence, governance, the possibility of quantum internet, a fictionalized 2036 day into life immersive scenario, the philosophical future of human communication.